Punto número 3. Las cosas que estudian los científicos naturales.
Point number 3. The things natural scientists study are directly observable in the outside world. So with more or less difficulty we can observe a rock, a chemical compound, or a molecule, or a galaxy. Consider the universe. We look out and we see the night sky packed with stars. But if we get closer with a more powerful telescope, we discover that half of them are galaxies, like the Milky Way, which has 150 billion stars. Do you realize where we are in all of this? How small we are? We can observe those phenomena, those things in the outside world. We do so in a laboratory, or we dissect a cadaver, or we analyze a plant. Things in the outside world, which are the object of research in the natural sciences, are directly observable, with more or less difficulty. We may have to use an extraordinarily powerful telescope, or a laboratory experiment, or a linear accelerator, like the one inaugurated not too long ago in Switzerland. A machine for making two particles collide and observing the effect on antimatter. But these things are directly observable in the outside world, whereas, I ask you, has anyone ever seen an idea? Let's see, an idea. Hey, there's one now. I'm going to catch it. Oh no, the idea's getting away. Has anyone ever seen an idea? Ideas, which are the object of research in the social sciences, cannot be observed in the outside world.
Tan solo cabe interpretarlas.
They can only be interpreted in their historical context, in their particular historical and geographical circumstances. And we must have a prior theory that permits us to interpret them. In fact, all of the effort a social scientist makes from the perspective of a historian, we will talk more about history today and in the next class on method, consists of interpreting ideas which are not directly observable, but which can be interpreted in view of prior theoretical knowledge.
Vamos a ver, supongamos un acto de compraventa.
Let's see. Let's imagine a sales transaction. We go into a pharmacy to buy a cosmetic, and let's imagine that for the first time some newly arrived aliens are observing that act. They've just arrived at the speed of light, and by some procedure they are watching the transaction. They know nothing about mankind, nor do they have any prior knowledge. So what do they register? Well, they take the approach of a natural scientist and register what they can see, observable entities in the outside world. They say, there goes a carbon-based life form. It's in motion, and now it's moving a frame composed of plastic and glass, and a ding-dong has sounded. We don't know what that is, a sort of bell, and the life form is going up to another plastic frame. How very strange. Now a second carbon-based life form is coming out, and it starts to produce guttural sounds, and the first answers it with guttural sounds. The second moves back and extracts a glass jar with a highly complex chemical compound inside, which we've analyzed from above, and gives it to the first life form. And this is the strangest part of all. The first carbon-based life form hands over a piece of cellulose with ink on it and leaves. It moves away in another direction. The aliens haven't understood a thing. They've observed the scene, that is, what was directly observable from the outside, from the perspective of a natural scientist, but they haven't understood anything. However, as human beings, if we have a prior theory, we are able to interpret this scene as a sales transaction, the same scene the aliens described in such a bizarre way, using mundane terms. In other words, we've seen a human being, which is a being who acts, has ends and happens to value waking up in the morning more attractive than the day before. He or she goes into a pharmacy, and we have a concept of what that is, and a clerk comes out. The two discuss the different products, the clerk hands the customer a cosmetic, and the customer pays with money. Money is not money because of its essential physical components, but because the parties who participate in the process of social cooperation view it as a commonly and generally accepted means of exchange, whether it comes in the form of a piece of paper, gold, head of cattle, etc. We'll talk about this more when the time comes. Clearly, to understand what human beings do in the social world, we must have a prior theoretical framework that enables us to interpret ideas. As social scientists, that is the only way we can approach our object of research.